Hello, all you tiny, beautiful people that live in the confines of my computer. My name's Finn, and over the past 2 weeks, me and my roommate sat down and we watched Hobbit, Hobbit 2, Hobbit 3, Lord of the Rings 1, Lord of the Rings 2, and Lord of the Rings 3. We spent like 2 days to get through all the Hobbit movies, and then we spent a week and a half on Lord of the Rings. Scheduling. Very fun. However, this was my very first time watching through that franchise. And 2 weeks ago, I made a video about The Hobbit after I had finished it. And I thoroughly enjoyed those movies. So I was excited for Lord of the Rings. Now, let's get into my thoughts, my feelings, my opinions, and a hot take, apparently. So to start, I want to say that all of the acting was tremendous. And that's just genuine. Like, in Hobbit, all of the actors were good. And then in Lord of the Rings, all the actors are good. I think the star performances for me... Hold up. I would say that, like, the three performances that really enthralled me the most were Martin Freeman as Bilbo, Elijah Wood as Frodo, and then Andy Serkis as Gollum and Smeagol. I think... I like the Hobbits the most. They're like my favorite. And B, I think that those three had a lot of weight on their backs with what they were doing. Elijah especially being the main character of a film that is now like a cult classic. Well, the weird thing is it's like a cult classic and it's also huge pop culture at the same time. It's weird. But like... especially with Elijah and Mr. Freeman, there's like no room for mistakes when you're the main character in a humongous like trilogy that spans like, I mean, all the movies together are like 14 hours or something, and you're the main character of that. And especially with how they recorded them, because they didn't record them spaced out that much. It was like, okay, this movie's out. Oh, a year later, this one's out. Oh, a year later, this one's out. And that's kind of what they did for both trilogies. Or so says the internet. I didn't watch the movies when they came out. I wasn't alive for the Lord of the Rings movies when they came out. But humongous shout out to those three for carrying the weight of such a humongous franchise on their backs. But also shout out to every other actor who was in it. I think a couple little shouts that I can give is the guy who played Thorin in Hobbit. I loved him so much. I loved being upset with him when he did something wrong. Like, I enjoyed the, like, in my head back and forth. Whereas a lot of characters that do something wrong, you just kind of get upset with them and you're kind of done. I felt like I wanted to argue with him whenever he would say something stupid. Also shouts out to Ian McKellen, who is a tremendous actor. If you don't know who he plays, he is Gandalf, and he also plays characters in everything because he's the best. Notably for me, he's Magneto. So I love Ian, so seeing him made me happy. Loved every scene he was in. And then Christopher Lee for playing Saruman? Is that how you say his name? I don't remember. But I loved that. I love Chris Lee. I love all of the things that are connected to him, such as being there for the final execution in like France or whatever. Like I love everything about the actors in this franchise. So there's a couple shouts outs there. Also Orlando, or is it Orlando? Orlando Bloom, the guy who plays Legolas. I love you. Getting into it, so we watched Hobbit first because we wanted to watch it in order, or she did. I didn't really care. And I really enjoyed The Hobbit. I made a full video on that. I loved Hobbit. Hobbit 3 was definitely the least good of the Hobbit movies, but I really like it. I think that first Hobbit movie, probably my favorite of all of it. Hobbit 1 is probably my favorite, just period, of the Lord of the Rings stuff. So that's neat. That's pretty cool. So we watched those, and those were fun. I liked them. Also, watching it in like canon order kind of added something because of like seeing like the reverse growth in like the CGI and stuff was kind of weird. That was like an experience I've never had before. Like how like Gollum and Smeagol looked one way in Hobbit, and then in all three Lord of the Rings movies, it looks different. So that was like a neat thing. Um, to all of the like the voice acting is really good. In Hobbit, I think Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug, and I think he also does Sauron. I don't know for sure. Don't fact check me on that. But I love him. I love Benny. Benedict Cumberbatch is a tremendous actor. Period. But seeing him play a fucking dragon is pretty cool. And seeing like the behind the scenes of him just like on the ground with a fucking GoPro or whatever, like that shit's funny. But I loved that. A lot of voice acting happened because there's characters who like they have super high amount of makeup or they have like prosthetics on or whatever, and their acting isn't faltered by that in any way. Like it's not worse. A lot of times when you throw a bunch of makeup on somebody and they don't look like a person, or you throw armor on somebody, when you do something to obstruct the person, typically actors, well, typically people who aren't tremendous actors will lose their ability to act. Um, Maybe it's like a comfort thing, I don't know. But that didn't happen. And that's very nice. I think the landscapes and the wide shots are beautiful. Shout out to New Zealand, I guess, because I'm pretty sure that's where like most of the filming happened. Um, a lot of pretty stuff. All of the mountains are beautiful. All of the ranges are beautiful. The castles. The Shire is like genuinely gorgeous. Um, in in the Hobbit, there's a spot where they're like on the top of like a peak that isn't a mountain. It's just a bunch of rocks, and it's beautiful. The skylines are always pretty. And then whenever there's bad stuff happening and there's rain or a storm or whatever, even the storm is like beautiful. How it's put and how it's framed and stuff. And that's a tremendous one moment. That is a tremendous shout out to I think it's pronounced Lesney, the cinematography guy for Lord of the Rings and Hobbit is 10 out of 10. I will definitely be looking to see more stuff that he has done the cinematography of because it's fucking beautiful. There's not a lot of times where like the way something looks in a movie or a show takes me by such like an emotional string that I have to like rewatch what I just saw because of the beauty of what I'm looking at. Like it happened in Breaking Bad a lot with wide shots of just like deserts and stuff. And it happened here, which is really pretty fucking cool. Um, Outside of that stuff, I think the music is great. I don't think there's a single song that I disliked. I don't think there was a single backtrack that wasn't like impactful in a way. I think the music was well chosen. I think the people who did the vocals on it have beautiful fucking tones that they can do. I think all of the actual like artistry of the music was very nice. I think the way that it's not all one thing, because a lot of fantasy stuff tends to take a thing. It's like, okay, well, it all has to be the same music. There can be different notes, there can be different tones, but it has to be like the same thing. And in Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, I noticed like that's not a thing. Like I'm not confusing songs for each other. I'm not getting bored of the music. It's like actually properly changing throughout the film. And there are like songs and stuff that are like reuse sounds rude, but like they're used more than once, and it's not a problem. You don't get tired of any of the tracks. None of them sit and bore you, and when they're reused, typically it makes you think about what had happened before during it, and it like merges the scenes together. So that's pretty cool to me. I think character design stuff fucking tremendous. Um, there's there's like characters that are in the background who are well put together more so than characters who are the main characters in other things. Like in these films, the characters who have no names and do not fucking matter look better than some characters who are meant to be the main character in other shows and movies. So that's a real testament to the costume designers and to the makeup artists and to the CGI workers and everything. The people who worked on this movie gave a shit. They genuinely cared a lot about what they were making, and it fucking shows. Also, the sound mixing is great. There's not any time where like I'm lost. I'm a big audio fan. I'm a big audio enjoyer. And typically in movies, especially like big budget movies and like things with a lot of action, typically there will be characters who you can't hear, or a sound will be too loud, or a sound will be too quiet and it's meant to be important and you won't notice it or whatever. And that happens a lot with like bigger movies, and I would consider this to be a pretty fucking big movie. So seeing the audio be well put together is very fucking nice, and it made me quite happy. Yes, it makes me smile. Yes, it makes me smile. So that was something that was really intriguing to me, because I'm a big fan of like big budget movies, and I like love the Marvel movies and stuff. Their audio isn't very good. The people who work on the audio for Marvel need to step up their game. And also, like, other big things, like Star Wars typically doesn't have tremendous, like, sound, like, mixing. Star Trek seems to have, like, okay mixing. But, like, a lot of these big budget things don't. Like, the Transformers movies, I can't hear a fucking thing. Like, a movie of this magnitude with the audio design that it has is, like, a testament to how much these people give a shit about what they're making. This franchise makes me want to read the books, which is a pretty wild thing for me, because I don't like reading, and it's really hard for me to read. I have like a hard time reading, like physically I can't do it very well. Like I'll be reading and I'll just read the same line over and over and over, or I'll scramble my words up, or I'll like in my head I'll say the wrong word or the wrong syllable or whatever. So reading typically isn't something I enjoy because it makes me feel stupid, because I can't do it well and I'm really slow. And then if I say it out loud, I like don't actually read it. Like I don't actually process it. Like I have a hard time with reading. However, I want to read these stories. I want to read all of this. Like I want to read The Hobbit. I currently am reading The Hobbit. Actually, it's in there. And I would like to read Lord of the Rings when I'm done, and any other continuations of the story. Like, it's fun to me. And something making me want to read is a big deal, because I don't like reading. So that's been, like, a really fun thing, having something that genuinely pushes me to use my brain. Makes me happy, because not a lot of things do that. So that is pretty cool. I definitely wouldn't call these movies comedies, because I just don't think they fit under that umbrella. But they do have like little bits of comedy throughout, and I think for the most part it's like good. None of it's like laugh out loud, like falling over, crying, laughing, but it is like funny, you know, like it's stuff that it makes you feel like you're there in a way, which is extremely valuable for something like this, where it's a medium that's supposed to bring you in. So that is like really impactful in a way, because when something's built to be a comedy film and there's funny stuff in it, it doesn't really affect how you view it, because it's supposed to be a comedy. But when something that's more gritty, or something that has more fantasy elements, or something that's more futuristic or whatever, when it when it is a story that has nothing to do with comedy and the comedy is good, it shows that the people writing the comedy understand the characters, they understand the world, they understand what the people watching want to hear, and I think that's really like another testament to how much these people care about what they're making. I had a lot of predictions going in. Some were correct, some were incorrect. I'm just going to point out a couple of them. To begin, I thought the ending of Lord of the Rings was going to be Frodo and Smeagol both falling into the mountain. That didn't happen. That was just Smeagol. But like I was telling my roommate, you're like, yep, Frodo's dying. He's falling down there. He's gonna die. And that was in like movie 2. I was like, yep, he's dying. He's gonna die. And then he didn't. I also made the prediction that Gandalf would die and then he would like be brought back via like some magical bullshit. My reasoning was because of that one meme from like 2020 where it's like Deltarune and it's like there was monsters and humans and Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White and Monty Python and the Holy Grail's Black Knight and blah blah blah, and it keeps going. And I was like, why the fuck's there 2 Gandalfs in that? What does that mean? So I like made the assumption that Gandalf was gonna like fake die and then come back. I thought he was gonna die and then come back to life, and then in the movie he doesn't actually die. So I was like, okay, well, I was half right. Another little prediction that I made was that Smeagol was gonna force Frodo to turn on Sam, which kind of happens. I thought there was gonna be like an actual fight between Frodo and Sam. Didn't happen. I also predicted that Sam and Frodo were gonna thought they were gonna, didn't happen. I thought Bilbo was gonna die. I thought Bilbo would die in like the last Lord of the Rings movie. That did not occur. I guess we don't technically know what happens to him unless it says it in the book. But whatever. I don't know. I had a lot of fun with these movies. I enjoyed the time I spent with my roommate. I enjoyed like the comfort of like coming home from work and then doing something like watching a movie. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the like mythos. I enjoyed all of the magical bullshit. I enjoyed being able to watch a new fictional thing that I've never seen before is pretty cool. Because like superheroes are my forte. I know like I can list off too much bullshit about that. I don't know if you've seen the 90 superhero videos I have. So like there's that. And then hello the king. Hello. And there's like futuristic shit I'm not super into. But like the Middle Ages and stuff like that Middle Ages, like that area of fiction is super interesting, but I don't really have anything that I'm a big fan of that is in that area. Well, now I do, but I didn't. So being able to explore and learn and experience that for pretty much the first time was really intriguing to me. And it really affected me, and it's kind of put me at the point where I'm more into that time period and more into that type of like fantastical fiction in a way that I kind of haven't had the experience in, and that's been super fucking cool. One moment. Overall, I really enjoyed my experience with this franchise, and it has given me a new love for a type of fiction, and it has given me a need and a want to read something again. So that has been extremely valuable to me. Damn, I can't breathe today. One moment. My apologies for all the pausing. I'm feeling a little crappy. But to end this off, I want to give like a little list of the Lord of the Rings stuff from my least favorite to my favorite. The least good thing is Hobbit 3. I think it didn't need to be a trilogy. You could have put the first like third of movie 2 and movie 1, and then you could have just had movie 2 be 2 and 3, because 3 didn't need to be a full movie. So that's the least good. Then I would say Lord of the Rings 1, Hobbit 2, Lord of the Rings 2, Lord of the Rings 3, Hobbit 1. So the first Hobbit's my favorite. Lord of the Rings 2 is my second. Then Hobbit 2. Or something. I don't know. How do I make this more make sense? Hobbit 1 is up here. Lord of the Rings 1. Lord of the Rings 3. Hobbit 2. Lord of the Rings 3. No, I'm bad at numbers and things. Okay. Hobbit 1. Lord of the Rings 1. Hobbit 2. Lord of the Rings 3. Lord of the Rings 2. Hobbit 3. Hobbit 3 the worst. Then Lord of the Rings 2. Then Lord of the Rings 3. Then Hobbit 2. Then the first Lord of the Rings. And then the first Hobbit. First Hobbit, my favorite. So yeah, there's that. There's all my thoughts on Lord of the Rings. So yeah, there's that. I don't have too much else to say. Thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you all for your support. We're this close to 750 subs, so if we can get there this week, that would be fucking tremendous. Thank you all so much for your time, for everything that you've ever been able to give me, and I'll see you guys later this week. Bye-bye.